Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, October 16th. Welcome to our coach call. Hope you're having a great day. We know that it's a busy time of year. Here we are almost upon the holidays, and everyone is working hard to do their business, deal with family, etc., etc. So thank you for taking the time to either be on this call or listen to this call. We really appreciate it. A couple things we want to go over today. One is Instagram stories. And I'm just going to show you mine. Amethyst is going to share as well, and Tracy too, but we're all just kind of learning from one another, if she has something, but we're all learning from one another, because here's what I've learned about Instagram stories. You just have to do it, and some turn out really great, some don't. So you go like this, whatever, and you don't stress too much about it. Let's see. I also want to give. I'm going to give you guys a challenge today, which is pretty exciting, and so that's what the gist of our call is going to be. We won't take too much time, but I'm just going to jump right into it. With the change in how we post, Instagram stories has become really, really important. So when I first started coaching, and Amethyst and Aaron first started coaching, we were taught to post on our Facebook page 3 to 5 times a day. Always posting a sweaty selfie, then something just about our life and something about coaching, and it was like a little much. I actually like what we're doing right now, and I've worked with different social media people, and then the same thing is that everyone says is true: do not overpost. So I love that, because that kind of gives us a chance to breathe a little bit, but it also challenges us to really think through our posts. I try to sit down a couple times a month and plan out my posts for the month. So although that takes a ton of time, it ends up saving me time over the month, but I kind of spend a couple days figuring out my posts for the month, make sure I have the right pictures, get those scheduled, and that helps. But that's because it's just one post a day, a really good post. So that's why stories are so important. A couple things that I haven't always been the best at stories. You guys know that we will always be totally honest with you. I have to confess that my issue is I am a little bit older than some of our younger coaches, and so I didn't grow up sharing my life on social media. In fact, when I became a coach, I wasn't even I had no social media. And so the idea of sharing about my life throughout the day is a little bit, I would want to say, intimidating, although that's not totally the right word. But I guess the bottom line is I just feel like no one gives a crap about my day. They really don't care what I'm doing during the day, so why would we post? And Amethyst has helped me say, that's not true. You don't have to have anything dramatic and big. People just want to see what your life is like. So I'm learning to get over that fear of posting about my life and worrying if it's going to connect with people or people are going to love it. Right now, today, in this moment, I want you to just get over that. Don't worry if everybody loves your stories. Don't worry if you have all these great things. I look at some people and they're super, and this is where our comparing thing can really derail us. I'm a pretty fun person, but I'm not overly funny. That's when it in my stories, sometimes you watch stories and you're like, that person is hilarious. That's not me. So one of the great things about stories is that you don't have to be anybody else. I don't have to have this super exciting life. I'm not some huge fashion blogger with all these great things. I just get to share a little bit about who I am. So one of the things I always do on my story is that's kind of where I post my sweaty selfie and talk about my workouts every single day. That way it doesn't have to be on my Instagram feed or my Facebook feed. It's just in my stories, my Instagram stories. And whatever I do for my Instagram stories, I also go over and do on Facebook stories, or what's it called? Facebook stories? Yeah. And here's another trick, and I'm going to show you some things in just a minute. Amethyst is really good at stories, and she and I were talking about it. And one of the things that she does, instead of feeling pressure, she can talk more about this, about posting all day long, because that's what gets a little bit overwhelming for me. as you know, we talked about this a little bit last week, but I'm really working on, and so is Amethyst, and I've shared this with you guys, not being on our phones all day long. And so in order to do that, we have to plan a little bit more. So I used to kind of think, oh my gosh, every time I'm doing something, I need to take a picture and put it on my story. Like, I guess that's how stories work. And Amethyst was great about sharing with me that she'll just take pictures throughout the day, because pictures can just take a couple seconds and then you're not on the phone, your phone all day. And then she'll sit down for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes and put together her Instagram story. And that way it's part of your work day. It's not part of your every moment of the day when you are having the actual moment happen. And so we're going to talk more about this as we get closer to the retreat. And at the retreat, time management, how to do the things we need to do for our business without being on our phone all day. But since we're talking about stories today, I did want to tell you that that does not mean that you have to be on the phone all day long documenting everything you do. Okay, so that was like another okay, couple of my fears. One, nobody cares what I'm doing. Let's just wipe that one away. That's not the point of stories. Number two, well, I have to be on my phone documenting every silly thing I do. Nope. No, that's not what we have to do either. So Amethyst, can you speak more about that before I switch over and share my screen and just show my stories today? Because that was really a game changer for me, and you just shared that with me a few weeks ago. And then I've been collecting my pictures throughout the day, and then I sit down and do it, and it's not stressful. So go ahead and tell about that a little bit, because I think that's huge.
I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah, so stories basically are an opportunity for us to show all the things that we do as a coach and as a healthy person, right, throughout the day, little glimpses. So just sitting here at my desk, I might take a picture of my laptop, right, with the Mindset Makeover on open on my screen, right, and say checking in with my challengers this morning, right? I might take a picture of me with my shake. Now, when we started, like Kendra said, we used to post pictures of shakes all the time, which is so dorky. So, occasionally we want to talk about our shakes, but not like, so in your face, but on your story every single day, you can talk about your shake and just list out all of the amazing components that come with your shake, right? Prebiotics, probiotics, better than swallowing a multivitamin, all that kind of stuff. You might take a picture of my tracker, right? And say, I'm tracking, what I'm eating all day, right? If you want to be funny, like Kendra said, like highlight the poop emoji, like you can do, whatever you want, kind of just show what you're doing. Kendra will have you take a picture of this, right, of our screen.
I'll do that right now. I'm going to put it on my story just so I can show people.
Yeah, so she's going to put this and show that, oh, this is how we work from home. And yeah, we do a lot on our own, but we also have community, right? So it's just all these little things. If I'm taking my daughter to the library after school and I'm eating a beach bar, I go, oh, I can share that I have a beach bar. You know what I mean? Just take a little picture of the beach bar, working at the library, and talk about how I have such a portable business that I can work at the library. And then you share the other regular parts of your life, like, oh, I'm on a field trip with my kids. And you can kind of say, I love being a mom and I love the flexibility of my job that allows me to go on field trips with my kids, right? So just whatever it is that you're doing all day, but to Kendra's point, you don't have to stop and be like, oh, I have to put this on my story right now. You just take a picture of each of these things throughout the day, your sweaty selfie, maybe your hands and sliders, maybe your To Be Mindset water bottle, maybe your Energize. Anything that you do that we promote that allows people to have a healthier lifestyle, you just have to snap a picture of, and also your life. Like it was homecoming last week, so I did a bunch of videos of the homecoming parade, right? So people want to see your regular life too. But again, if we're only going for posting once a day, which you can always post more than once a day on your regular feed, but we're going for one good solid post a day, then we're not going to put all these other things, but the story only lasts 24 hours. It expires in 24 hours. It disappears. So the cool thing about stories is that as long as you have something sitting there for 24 hours, you don't have to keep pumping the well, right, every hour, like Kendra was saying. As long as something's sitting in there, that's great. And then as long as you replenish something within the next 24 hours, so there's something always in your story, that's what really matters. So I've heard that you want to try to post like, 8 to 10 stories a day at least, but don't let that pressure. That's just everything we just said, right? I just listed off things that we do every day. Now you might not think it's a big deal, but that's because you're healthy, right? You're making healthy choices all day long. And whether it's, your food, like what you guys post in To Be Mindset, when you have Tracy posting great food posts, right? You can put that in your story and people will be like, ooh, I want the rest. And there's a little poll option. You could say yes. You don't ever want to say no. You want to say yes and put yes, please, or I need that, or help me. And then the poll allows interaction and people interacting with your posts, and maybe you can make a new contact because somebody wants the recipe of that yummy dinner that you just posted. And so Kendra will show us her stories, what it looks like. What we want to communicate to you is it's very easy. It's super easy. And it doesn't have to be fancy or filtered or anything. It's like scrapbooking in junior high. Okay. It's super easy. It's a picture. You can put a little, how do you say, GIF or GIF on it. It can have like a dancing avocado when you put like homemade guacamole. You could type in, I love avocados. It's just like healthy fat for the day. It's super simple. Nobody's judging you. Even the top coach, hers don't look much different than anybody else's because there's only so much. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you see me now?
Yeah. Sorry. There's only so much you can do. So don't ever feel like you can't, it has to be fancy. It's just putting yourself out there. And then, Kendra, do you want me to share later about what you actually do with the stories, how it helps you? You want to just
go for it. I'll take it off share. I was just thought it might take a little bit more.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question before you continue?
Yeah.
So when you mentioned 8 stories a day, do you mean like 8 pictures within your story once a day? Or do you want to, because if your story's on there for 24 hours.
So Kendra will show us what her stories were. So if we click on Kendra's story right now, how many do you have?
Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to
let's do that.
Talk about it? Okay, here we go. This is my story. Let me move this.
It's great Kendra can do this because I think we're all visual learners, and so you can see how not hard it is.
Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just kind of go through my day. It already passed yesterday when I did my workout stuff and all that. So this was yesterday afternoon. I went, I planned to go with my mom to do our nails. And then I said, who says you can't work and get a pedicure at the same, whoa, hold on. I'm going to try to hold this. When I'm doing something like this, then I do check messages and stuff. So it's a little plug for working. Like people go, and then I'll follow up today and tomorrow with I'll do some transformation posts later today. And then I'll also do a coach post because I want to follow up from people or I'll talk about how awesome it is to be a part of helping people have a transformation because it's Transformation Tuesday. But I'm kind of building off of this, wow, she works and she gets a pedicure at the same time, okay? And then I talked about the fact, that we started our new group today for widows, and because I've had lots of response about that. So just putting in little things like that. Then last night I was getting ready. I had my daughter's volleyball pasta feed at my house, so I was setting up for that. Then a picture of the girls. And then I always have my quiet time in the morning. I take my Energize, which I didn't post today, but I always do my Energize and then my quiet time. So this is just something that was from there. And then hold on. Rachel Hollis's team contacted me about, I'm trying to hold this, about being a part of her influencing, and they're going to send me a copy of her book. So that is my little plug. They're going to send that to me in the next couple weeks. So that was what I've talked about there. And then here's one of my workout pictures. And then I'm going to hold this.
So 1 year ago today, we put.
Okay, I don't want you to hear my voice right now. But here is a bunch of different 15-minute clips of.
So I want to.
I'm going to hold this. That's a great shot right there. But I did a couple of 15-minute clips about today is the 365th day. So 1 year ago today, my friend Katie and I committed to doing a mile a day, and we invited anyone in our social media community to do it with us, and we started it 1 year ago, and it ended today. So for 365 days, even through injuries and even through traveling, I showed up, so did she, and people in this group that we had that ran or walked a mile a day. And so I wanted to, wow, is that Melanie? Hi, Melanie.
Yeah, that's weird.
I wanted to make sure that we,
oh, it's me.
Okay, that I talked about that. So I did a couple of the short 15-minute clips kind of describing the last that people have been following me. Thank you for following me. And then of course I ended it with encouragement that you can do anything you set your mind to, even when it's hard. If we push through the hard, if we show up every day, then we can do anything. And so that's what this little clip is. So I went live about that. And then I did my shake just now. And then I added, oh wait, no, should be us. Why didn't it? There's Katie in my story. I don't know why she's popping up right now. Just a sec. And then I just posted about, maybe it didn't load yet. That's weird. So you can see it's a little crazy. I don't know what's going on right now. But then I did a picture of our,
Good morning.
I don't know what this is. That's Katie's. So I don't know what's going on there. But if you look on my story right now, then I have a picture of 300 of us like doing a mastermind session. So this is just us right here, a picture of us. And then my next one is some Free People shoes I have on that are great, and just that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what I am with this. Can you share? I don't know if you can share, because yours, I can share yours. Let's do yours.
Okay.
Where is that? I guess I can just look it up, huh? It's usually at the top of mine. Okay. Okay, so here's Amethyst, breakfast on the go. That's from her hike. Another hike. Oh, with Margie, yay. Her tracker, that's cool. Oh, this is a great post. If you have not read this, this is an awesome post that Amethyst did yesterday. Oh yeah, that's good. I didn't talk about earning that. That's true. Okay. So one of the things, Amethyst, maybe you could speak to this, because I don't really know how to do this, where you have the same picture show up, and then it's, let me get out of our stopping share so we can see each other. But you have the same picture up, and then one thing of words comes up, then another thing, then another thing. Can you speak to how you do that?
Can you go back really quick and show that, so that they know what you're talking about? So
Okay.
You can show my transformation picture. So it looks like you are flashing an image, but what you're actually just using the same image, and you'll be able to see that with my, so like, okay, so right here, see it says on the top, now I'm just using, and then on the bottom, how the image doesn't change, and then I keep just adding different words to it. Mm-hmm. So the way you do that is you will post the first one. And you see on the bottom how I did yes and you bet. So you never want to put a no. You just want to change it up a little bit. You just repost the same image you just posted, and then add words to it or images to it. And then you just keep reposting that previous picture.
So then you go in, you do the original picture, save it. Do that same picture, add a set of words, save it. And delete those words or keep it, add the next set.
Yeah. And mine automatically saves all mine. Does yours? Every
No.
time oh, it doesn't? There must be some sort of setting, because mine just automatically saves it to my camera roll. And then that allows me to then also post it to my Facebook page later, really quick, because I already saved.
No, I have to push save and
Oh,
then
you do?
delete photo and then go back or whatever.
Okay, so check out your settings. So there is a way that it automatically saves. So it's already just the top of my camera roll. So I just take that image and then I'll add more words to it. So that's kind of a fun feature. What we want to make sure we really get across here is that real quick, since we're looking at my page, at the top where it says food tips, the little circles, those are highlights. And so that's kind of cool because the story expires in 24 hours, but these highlights here on the top, food tips, my joys, 80 days, mom bops, get fit and inspire. Those are your favorite stories over time grouped together. So like if you look through food tips, there's all the food posts I've done over time. Right. So this is kind of fun because people come to us all the time with food questions, right? Or interests or how to meal prep and stuff. And so these are just these kinds of images. But what's cool about that is that these never go away. These are always on my page, can be found because they're on the highlights, right? So these are all food. And then Mom Boss is more about coaching. My joys is like my regular life. 80 days, like 80-day obsession. Get fit is lift. And inspire is, I think, speaking maybe or something. So anyway, that's kind of cool, is that if you want to highlight things that just stay there forever, that's how you can do that, which is really great because people will come and check out your profile and be like, who is she all about? And then you can look there. A little tip for you also is you're trying to figure out people who to follow on Instagram and you want to know if they're a coach or if they're doing keto or something else, look at their highlights and that will tell you right away who they are. So if you don't want to follow keto people, for example, and they say keto, or whatever, or if then you're like, oh, I don't want to follow them. You know what I mean? Like, so that will tell you about who they are if it's not super clear in their profile. Okay. So hopefully you got it. I know this can sound overwhelming if you haven't done it before, but what I want you to know is that it is super, super simple. And so Kendra, I'm going to explain to you what we do after this. And then if we have time, maybe Kendra can show us on her screen how to actually just put because if you've never done it before, you're probably like, well, how do I even put words, letters on there? So maybe we can show you. I think you can do it, Kendra, on your screen. Okay. The key to this is that one, exposure, right? But the real key is follow-up. Okay. So Kendra, can you go back real quick? Oops. Oh, I hope I didn't just push something. Okay. Is when you go to the bottom right left corner. Oh, is it not showing on here?
It's showing on here.
Okay, so where it says send message in the bottom left right there, typically that tells you how many people have viewed your story. And when you click on that, if you look on your phone, you'll see it.
You can't move that bar. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It'll show you who looked at that story. For example, I would look at my last post, my last story that said, do you want to join me or whatever? And if the people who stuck around long enough to watch all my stories, I would then take the next step and message those people. Now, this is where the work comes in. The posting of the story is easy and fun. The follow-up is what takes time, but it's also what is gets fruit, right, from it. So you would reach out to each of those people and say, hey, thank you so much for checking out my story today. I wasn't sure if you're just showing me some love. I didn't want to skip you in case you are maybe interested in joining my challenge group that starts this week. Would you like more information? And it would be just as simple as that. And then you can literally cut and copy that for the most part for every person who watched that story. Does that make sense? So when we're posting on Facebook, most of us aren't getting very many likes. I mean, if I'm honest, like my post from last night got a great response, but other ones, I get like 7, 8, 9, 10 likes, right? So there's not a lot of people to follow up with. But on your stories, it shows you, 150 people looked at my story. Well, that gives you 150 people that you can reach out to, right? They don't really necessarily realize that they're being spied on. But, because Facebook, right? Okay, so for example, I always tell people on Facebook, don't be discouraged if you only get 7 likes, because you have no idea how many people actually looked at that post, right? Jen Wren was just telling me how people have been reaching out to her. She gets very few likes on her posts, but people are watching and are just reaching out to her in response to her posts. So don't ever be discouraged. But this is kind of a sign to us like, if I have 150 people looking at my story, it's probably a good chance that there's a lot of people looking at my post too. They're just not liking it, or loving it on Instagram. So anyway, that's where that next step goes. And we can share with you ideas about what that, like a script would look like to respond to each type of story. Your response would be different if it was a coaching story or a transformation story or a Shakeology story. And so Kendra can share about how she had a really successful Shakeology story last week. And so Kendra, do you want to share what it looked like and then how you responded to that?
Yes, let me in fact see if I can pull up the photos that I used, because I think they were saved. So hold on. But essentially I knew I wanted to introduce Shakeology again to people, because you just, like Amethyst said, you just never know who's watching you and who's saying. Let me see if I can find this really fast. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but
and we don't, highlight Shakeology all the time on our regular page. I mean, we can sometimes. We talked about using mason jars or cute mugs or whatever, and not using this tacky cup. In fact, except I did last week just because it was a good picture. But we do want to highlight it, but not every day. But again, on your story, you can highlight Shakeology every day. And you can highlight some of its great characteristics, different characteristics every day, right? One day you can say it's convenient and quick. One day you can talk about how it's better than swallowing a multivitamin. You can have a picture of a multivitamin next to the shake, right? You can talk about the benefits of this versus a pumpkin spice latte at Shakeology. You're at Starbucks, I'm just filling until you find it, Kendra. So tell me when yeah. So, you know what I mean? There's different elements and ways that we can share about it, but we can share about it every single day on our stories, where we wouldn't do that on our Facebook or Instagram wall anymore.
Okay. And so that's where you need to start. That's absolutely, from here on out, every day on your story, you should have your workout selfie, some kind of picture with your workout, and a picture of Shakeology. And you don't need to say, like Amethyst said, drinking my Shakeology every day. No, superfoods. So this showed up in my news feed. It says more, whatever. It talks about more than 1 in 3 American adults eat fast food on a given day. So I posted this picture on my story. Okay. Then my next picture was this one, two of my shakes. I typically do my shakes now in my little mason jar because people love that. I get so many comments about it. And then I did this, my kind of fast food, made in 2 minutes. All natural, super packed with superfoods, provides all the vitamins you need, keeps you regular with a little poop emoji, helps with cravings, with weight loss, equivalent to 6 salads, approved by doctors and nutritionists, tastes delicious. So I did that. Then my next one was, cheers, are you ready for healthy fast food? And then I did a poll. And super fast, super silly, just came to mind because of that article that came up. And I got so many responses of people. Now I've only had like 2 people actually purchase so far. No, 1 person purchased so far, but the conversations, people are still in conversation about it. I mean, they're like still asking me questions, and I can appreciate that people don't know me. Most of these people are from Instagram that don't know me, so they're still getting to know me, and they're trying to figure out, is she selling stuff? Is she, just figuring it out. But then it at least allows me to have a conversation with people about why I think Shakeology is so important. I totally can empathize and say, I totally get your hesitation. You're wondering, is this another sales pitch? I'm just telling you, it's not. Here's what I know that my doctors told me, and my blood work is better, and I can just have a real conversation. And then I got into with one lady that I'm having a conversation, actually with quite a few, just about how we don't typically eat breakfast in the morning because we're all so busy. Everyone almost agreed to that. My teenagers don't eat breakfast because they're racing out the door to get to school on time. They have shakes every day. Typically because of stress and life, we just simply, even with a really healthy diet, do not get the nutrients we need. That is a scientific fact. Major studies have proved that. And so we need some kind of supplement. But our health food stores and our supplement stores are frankly filled with a bunch of crap. So I've personally had Shakeology checked out, sent the ingredients to my husband's cancer doctors and to regular doctors because it was super important to me to only put healthy things in my body and my children, especially after my husband passed away. And so anyways, they've all said, this is great stuff. There's nothing in here. So we know, I don't need to, I'm preaching to the choir, but it allows me to have these real life conversations. And when we can connect with people about real things, like it's really hard to get my kids to eat breakfast. It's really hard for me to get a nice healthy breakfast when I'm trying to get to work. Sometimes I'm just hungry and I need a snack, and this is a great option. Then people start to go, oh my gosh, this is like a real person, and she's really offering something that can help. And so anyways, it's been really great. So then I had somebody else reach out to me about, does it help with eczema? Well, perfect, because I have eczema, and since I started drinking Shakeology and making sure that I'm healthy on the inside, my eczema's gone mostly away. So it's things like that, and it just allows you to have different conversations with people. But that was one example of getting a huge response from people about Shakeology, and I never once mentioned the word Shakeology. And in the first conversations back and forth, I did not mention Shakeology. I kept saying this nutrient dense shake packed with superfoods, blah 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 blah. And then I finally, when I feel like people trust me, then I go, the name of it is Shakeology. You can only order it through a coach. I'd love to have you try it. And if you don't like it, you can return it and get your money back. So I'm like, this is no gimmick. And so I'm able to say that. I do love the fact, I hate it, but I also love the fact that we have a 30-day guarantee, so we can confidently tell people this is not a gimmick. And although that could hurt our SC or our volume, it's the right thing to do, is to tell people you have options. I so strongly believe in this, that it's going to be good for you and help you, that you have options. So stories like that pique people's interest, and it allows you to start conversations and show that you are a real person, not just some super selly person. So,
and then to that point is, why would we do stories? Why would we interact with strangers? Well, two things. One, some people feel uncomfortable interacting with their warm market, their friends and their family on Facebook. They don't want to, make them feel like you're trying to sell them something or whatever. And so some people just love to go straight to Instagram and find people who are like-minded or who want to achieve their health and fitness goals. And there's plenty of people on Instagram who want that. And so you can find that there if you're concerned about your interactions with your warm markets. That's how some people do it, especially the new young coaches. They're all Instagram. Two, once you have exhausted your warm market on Facebook. Most of us have our primary market on Facebook. And you're like, okay, I feel like I've helped everybody I can, which isn't really ever true, because if you're always adding to your pipeline by adding new friends every day, you should be adding at least 5 new friends a day, which are all, we can talk about how to do that too. All, mutual friends of other people. If you have mutual, how that pops up and says like, you have 15 mutual friends with this person. Well, just add them. Like, I used to think that was weird, but it really isn't, because if 15 people in common, and they get a request from you, like, oh, I must know her from somewhere. And they click on Tracy and they're like, oh, we have all of our kids go to the same school or whatever, like, it's not weird. And they don't have to accept your friend request if they don't want to. So you should always be filling that funnel. But if you feel like as you become a coach longer and longer, you feel like you have maybe exhausted your contacts, this gives you a whole nother market that's cold, but that you can interact with. That say, I, these 150 people or whatever. I mean, Kendra has almost 10,000 followers. Of course, she doesn't know them all, but she's garnering trust with them. They're seeing that she's a woman who deals with grief and who wants to encourage and empower others. And they may just be attracted to somebody like her and trust her with their health and fitness because she has proven herself a trustworthy. So those are kind of the reasons of why you would do the story.
Okay, so here's one thing. I'm sorry that I'm a little off topic, but as I was checking this, I just got an alert that says a new login from Instagram app on a Samsung. Have you guys ever had that?
What does that say?
I don't own any Samsung, but it says someone logged in to my Instagram account.
Oh, no. You have to change your password.
So I need to change my password as soon as I get done here. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
That's weird.
That's super weird.
It's good that they told you.
I know. Well, someone tried to get into my Gmail yesterday too, so this is interesting.
Wow.
Anyhow.
Tracy,
lovely.
do you have any questions?
Have
you tried stories?
I'm
Tracy?
swirling.
Okay.
I do like the concept of the cold market versus the warm market. So I think that's broken down a wall for me. But there's also a difference of like the business Instagram account and non-business. So I think I went through the steps of starting that. And then I think there was something that made me hesitant, or was that with Facebook? I don't know. I've gotten about 4 people ask, request friendship, and I have no mutual friends with them. And so I'm like, how do they even see me? So I must have gotten to one point that it's at least open publicly. I'm so unsure about all of it that I don't even know how far I get.
Right.
So, I'm still working up the, I don't know if it's courage or desire of how far do I want this to go, and, but the whole cold versus warm market, that I am comfortable with, because I do worry, and I'm not even posting all that often, like maybe it's a couple times a week. And that's just on Facebook. When I see friends that I don't see often, they're really giving me positive feedback. But sometimes my husband's just like, are you in a cult? Like, what's going on? So he and then his next step is, I'm supportive. I'm glad it's all positive, but hello. So the cold market, I wouldn't have to worry about that, because only people that are interested would be inquiring. So I don't know.
And just to take a little pressure off of you, Tracy, we just want to provide this for people who want to take that next step, but it's not like you can't be successful without being on your stories. It's, Kendra and I are just trying to kind of grow our following, and we've just been doing this for a longer amount of time.
Right.
But if you are getting great traction on just posting on your Facebook page a few times a week, stick with it. If you don't have the extra time, do not feel any pressure. This is just the way most people are doing it now. So we just want to make sure we provide that training, let you know that we know about it if and when you feel like you want to do it. I know there's just a few coaches, not all of us on this team who are doing it, just a few of us are. But we're learning, and so we just want to make sure you know that we can help you if you're ready to, and want you to know what the advantages are of doing it. But honestly, if you're on the leaderboards every week. If you are having great success with SC points and helping people get started every month just by posting a few times a week, then you are killing it. And that is amazing. And don't feel like you have to, don't let this be a pressure point to you. Just make it say, okay, this is maybe something that I could try out even once a week. I've been not keeping my stories full every 24 hours, especially over the weekend, just trying to be more present with my family. It's not like you have to at all. Right. We just want you to know it's another way.
And I totally appreciate that. And I get that from you guys. Absolutely. So I never feel pressured to do that. And in the second someone says, oh, do it 8 times or 1 time a day, keep it filtered. I know that if I do it twice a week, that is a heck of a lot more than I was doing ever. So that would be fine. So I'm okay with that. So just learning that. And honestly, when I go and I see someone that I know that has a new story, I'm excited to see what's going on with them, so I know I should just be more confident with it. So just knowing, take pictures, create your story and post when you can, that's helpful. And honestly, going into November and December, I'm a little nervous for those months. I definitely want to get SC for those months. And I'm a little nervous. So I think I'm going to have to do something different in order for that to occur.
I think that, like Amethyst has said, the greatest thing about stories, Tracy, is that it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. So I think for me, it was a matter of just like that, like deciding, like when I first started, I'm going to do a story Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? I'm going to make sure I'm posting. And then, because then I needed a way, because I was super out of my comfort zone. And I sense that about you, like it's super, it's not comfortable. And that's totally understandable. And so, like you said, if you feel like, well, I need to add something because I want to make sure that I hit SC, especially during the holidays. Like, there's so many fun things that you can do stories about right now, but you can just commit, like, I'm going to do stories 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and you just sort of push yourself. And I'd be done with a story, and something super simple, and I'd be like, oh, God, this is so lame compared to other people. Doesn't matter. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And it's funny what people respond to that you think might be kind of lame, and people totally respond to it or whatever. So that's why, just try it.
Yeah.
Try it. And don't worry about how it comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's, I put in the team in our team page that the Coach Online Office, I haven't gotten to look to yet, but they have new GIFs that are little Shakeology cups and little, if you type in Team Beachbody,
how do you get those?
Little, and when you're about to put in a GIF, and do you know how to do the GIFs?
Yeah.
When you, at the top of the little Post-it note thing, and you just type in, or like you would type in, say, LOL or whatever, a heart or love, type in Team Beachbody, and it'll have a little screen of like a Shakeology cup. Okay. So that's kind of fun.
That's fun.
But that's what you do with your stories. There's a little icon that you can get the GIFs and
yes.
Okay.
It looks like a little Post-it note, a little kind of square with a smiley face.
Okay. All right.
So you can kind of just play, you know what, Tracy, I would encourage you today, don't even post if you don't want to, but just play with it, just for fun, just to like navigate, click on the A, which is where you type in,
Right. I've done it a couple of times. And, but I just don't do multiple pictures. So my story is like 15 seconds, if that, or 5 seconds. And I'm like,
and you're not alone in that.
No.
Right.
No.
But it's you get so much more out of it when people have you're looking at it for longer, so yeah, it is just playing with
But
it.
that's okay. Yeah. And I think, like you said, I go and look for some of my friends because I just want to see what they're doing throughout the day. Because I know some of them are not even posting at all on their regular page, but I can see what they're doing if I go and find their story. Right.
Yeah.
And if you ever want ideas, go look, at Kendra's, go look at mine, go look at, Melanie Metro's, and also look at Melanie's. It's interesting because hers isn't like to show that there's not that much you can, you know what I mean? Like they're just normal. They're just the same lettering that we use because there's only so much lettering you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But you can look at other coaches to get ideas about what they're posting about.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was going to talk to Amethyst and Aaron about doing a different challenge or a challenge this week, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. This is our challenge to you. And I would love for everybody, after you watch this video or whatever, to post below. Choose one day this week that you're going to commit to doing stories. So whether that means you just take pictures all day and then you end up posting that night, like putting them all together like Amethyst had talked about, or the next day, whatever. But tell us what day you are going to do stories and maybe when you're going to post it. And then we're going to support you, not judge, not like come alongside and be like, well, they did that right or not. No, we're just going to support you and watch it so you get more views. And so tell us, and that way it'll be something that can hold you accountable to doing it, but also remind you that we're all in this together and it doesn't have to be scary. In just one day. Now you might have so much fun doing it. You're like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. But like Amethyst already talked about, and I had too, try not to make it complicated. Just take pictures of different things you're doing throughout the day. You don't even have to post all those pictures, but just take pictures. And then when you feel like you're in the right space, sit down, be like, okay, I want to put this one on my story, this one, this one, this one. I'm going to add some, you can add wording and you don't have to. Like my sister-in-law, for example, just posted her kids at a park yesterday, and it was like multiple different pictures of them just doing stuff, no words. One day, I mean, you don't have to, I mean, like just play with it and just commit to one day. So I'd love to see everybody on our team pick a day and tell us what day you're going to do it, and then we'll watch it. Okay.
And Kendra, would you drop in those images, those shake images, into our coach page?
Yeah.
Because we can share with each other our pictures that aren't specific to us.
Oh, right.
Like your story, everyone can use if you don't mind, everyone can use those Shakeology images and just put them in there and see if you get a response. So that's cool because we can always be sharing with each other. Like if you have a sequence of lift, posts, like I have those saved on my phone, you can reuse those over and over again. Or if you have a sequence of To Be Mindset or a sequence of transformation photos, if we share those with each other, then we all have content.
I love that, Amethyst. In fact, that would be super cool if everybody put a transformation picture in our team page today, and on our stories, we just put Transformation Tuesday. Then you just, no big deal. You save the picture, add it to your story, add to the story, and it just goes through a bunch of 3 or 4 or 5 transformation pictures. And then your last slide is, do you want a transformation of your own? I'd love to help you. Poll done. That's what I'm going to do today. That's what I typically do every Tuesday, because I learned from Melanie that the more consistent we are with the same thing, the more people will start to respond, even if they don't respond in the beginning, right? So just keep every Tuesday, I do transformation pictures. And it doesn't have to be you or me, but if we all put some pictures in, that would be amazing.
And your poll, we always want it to be positive. So if you were to do it, are you ready to start your transformation? You would just say yes, or send me more info.
You can say yes. You can say yeehaw. You can say absolutely, I need it, or tell me more.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I usually do. Like one is absolutely, one is tell me more. So nobody ever says no.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's nice to get some new, fresh transformation photos.
Yeah, so everyone
Because I have a side by side today of because I have a sweaty selfie from this time last year because I see the same Halloween decorations, and so I was gonna.
love it. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so Amethyst, do we want to do a file or how should it, let me think.
Let's just start a thread maybe on
Oh,
each page, and everybody just put it within that thread. How does that sound?
okay,
Yeah,
so I'll just start doing that right now.
Okay.
I'll do the Shaco one, and then do you want to do the transformation one?
Great.
We'll both start a different thread, and then there'll be 2 threads going. And by thread, like
Okay.
thread meaning a post in our Team LT page.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
So I think sometimes files get lost. I mean, we can move them into the file for future, but
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to take a few minutes to upload or to put those in right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care, guys.
Tracy.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.